Most likely, your team is spending a big chunk of their day on manual and tedious tasks, but luckily, we have n8n workflows for this, which take off the manual tasks from your team's workload and help them to gain back those valuable hours every day. And in this video, I want to walk you through a specific example of a workflow that we've built that's probably going to save your team a couple of hours as well, and also show you some tips and tricks that we've used when automating over 200 processes across all of our clients with particular and my AI and automation consulting company. So let's dive into it and see how you can automate these workflows using n8n. So the first step always is to find out what we want to automate for. So doing that will really help you focus on the specific automations that you should implement and that are going to benefit the team as well. How you can do that is just create a general mapping for yourself for either a specific role or for the specific team. And what you want to do is you want to map out what are the specific pain points that your team has, categorize them based on which area of work that it involves, and also bring out specific things that are either bothering them or they're doing a lot manually. So that's really the first step, is to define what we're going to be automating. And in this specific example in this video, what I want to show you is a pain point that a lot of people have within their company when they have a lot of meetings. So the pain point here is that if you have a lot of client calls, or maybe you even have a lot of internal team calls, you're spending a lot of time basically coming off the call, making sure that you have all your notes taken, making sure that you have all the action items mapped out, and also making sure that you're following up on those action items. What you want to do here as a process is you want to automate a lot of that analysis, so it would be easier to come off the call and make sure that you have all the action items and all the call transcripts and everything in your system, so you would be able to easily reference in the next call or during the week when you're going on and completing these action items. So what we have here is an opportunity analysis on the specific pain point that I'm talking about. When I shared this workflow with one of our clients, they got super excited for this, as they got to see how much time they could potentially save when implementing this specific workflow. And how it works is we have mapped out the opportunity in here, and we have written up like what the problem is and then a potential solution for that problem. So that's going to be really the basis of what we're going to be automating. Is we've written an opportunity here, which is post-call interface with an automation that analyzes the call and creates post-call messages and allows the team to note down post-call action items as well. Now, this is the part where the n8n workflow kicks in. So what is the solution for all of this? To be able to efficiently map out action items, make sure that everything is recorded in our system and everything will be actioned on that is needed after the call. So what we want to do here is we want to have an automation that takes in the call transcript, analyzes it, and then creates drafts based on that call transcript. So for this specific use case, what the automation will do is it will take the call transcript from the software that you want to use. We use Fireflies for this. It analyzes the transcript and then creates development tasks, then ad hoc tasks, then client action items, and then also drafts a post-call message, which will be posted to Slack for the whole team to see what are the action items noted and also what is the recap of the specific call. And then when we have the transcript analyzed, we want to make sure that all of the action items and also the post-call message that has been drafted up with the help of AI is going to be good as well to be sent and also to be logged into a project management system. So what we want to do here is we want to go over these drafts that have been generated with AI. We're getting 90% of the way there, but we're not actually letting AI take control of the whole process. And that's going to be really useful because as you implement this process in the beginning, you're not going to get the perfect output, and you definitely need to adjust it based on what the AI is outputting for you. So you definitely need to have a manual step in between where you want to verify what the AI has generated and then take the next action based on that. So what we want to do as well is, for example, when they generated the post-call message, we want to verify it and then we want to share it with the client. And then after we've shared the post-call message, then we want to basically take a look at all the tasks that have been generated. So AI goes and takes the transcript, it takes the action items from that transcript, and then it will generate the action items that will be needed. So in this case, it will do it on this type of interface. database. So we will get the transcript. Everything is done on the back end with n8n, which I will just show you in a minute. And then we will have the drafts generated. We're able to see the post call message and then the task list as well. So AI has generated everything for us, and our job is to go in there by that which action items are needed, which action items are not needed but generated by AI, and just make sure that we have that final filter. Once everything is good to go, the action items are mapped, the post call message has been sent to the client, then we want to update the status of that call within our database, and I will show you in a minute how that looks like. And then once that's done, then all the post-call action items will be completed. So if you think about this workflow, what is the realistic time frame that you would be doing this after the call? It's probably going to be something like 30-20 minutes, but maybe with this you're able to do it in just a couple of minutes, just glancing at everything. And the main thing here as well is that for me personally, I don't want to be like on my computer during the call when I don't need to, because I want to give my full focus on the call. I want to be present, and I want to make sure that I'm able to keep on track and I'm able to have the conversation where I go really into it, because there will sometimes be very technical things that I need to discuss more deeply on. And if I wouldn't be focused the whole way during the call and I would take notes manually and need to kind of note things down and check things on the call, then I wouldn't be able to hold a good conversation because I'm really not able to go really deep in it. So that's also one good thing, is that you can put your whole focus on the call and let the AI note take care of the summary after. And once you come off the call, you're able to see if the output generated is going to be sufficient enough, or you need to add something in there just to have that final check. But this really saves a ton of time if you have a lot of internal team calls, and also if you have a lot of client calls. If you find this information valuable and you like this video, definitely subscribe to the channel, as I'll be making more and more of these breakdowns and explanation videos on how you can use AI and automation within your team and within your business. And there's definitely going to be a lot of valuable videos coming in the next couple of weeks. So definitely subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and I'll let you know when the new video comes up. So the next step in here is seeing how we can actually implement this theoretical workflow in n8n and make it work for your team as well. So next step is really putting everything together and building out this specific workflow. So what is the first step is that you want to create a database where you're going to store all of this data that is related to this process. And the way you start off with it is you want to create a data structure. In here, I've created a data structure that's going to be relevant for me and my team when we're building this process. And how it works is that you want to map out everything that's going to be relevant in this process. So we will have a list of clients, and I will explain to you after why that is important. We will have obviously the table for client calls with all the data in it. Then we will have a table for prompts. I will also explain why that will be important in just a second. And then we have client action items, we have tasks, and we have development requests, which for our case, tasks and development requests are going to be different because development requests follow a specific process, which is more complex as opposed to maybe in progress, done, and new task, for example. So we definitely need to have these separated to maintain a clean and scalable database in this case. So these are going to be the most relevant tables that you're going to need for your database. In this case, probably better off with just keeping tasks and maybe client action items or external action items, something like this. Or if you want to allocate the tasks to your team, you can just keep everything in one table, which would be tasks. So that will be our data structure. In here, you also need to think about what are the data points that you need to gather. For example, if you want to measure operational efficiency, you might also measure what is the time between the client call coming into your database and then how much time did it take for that person to actually map out all the action items and also share the post-call summary. So that's just an example, but there are a ton of metrics and things you can track in here as well. So those data points you need to map out for yourself. So probably in the client calls, we will have the call date and time, the name of the call, who participated, and also the transcript. And then for tasks, you're probably going to have who's responsible for the task, also what is the name of the task, and maybe some notes in there and the status, right? So those are going to be your main components of setting up a data structure. And how you're going to do it is I would really recommend using Airtable for this case. It's really easy to use for each type of person, either a beginner or more high level, advanced, both are really fine. And you're able to build a really good solution using Airtable. workflow. So what you want to have here is client calls, tasks, client action items, requests, list of clients, because you're going to be connecting the client calls to a specific client to make it a relational, to use the functionalities of the relational database, and also have prompts if you want to keep it more scalable. So what is the next thing? The next thing really is the flow of the automation. So once you have this mapped out and you know what is your data structure going to look like, then you want to map out what the automation flow looks like and also start building it out. So in this case, we're going to have a trigger. So the trigger will be when the call will end. And when the call ends, the Fireflies will send a webhook to our automation. And because I'm using Fireflies, I'm explaining it with using Fireflies. So Fireflies will send the call transcript when the call ends, and when the transcription has been completed, then what we will do is we will analyze the transcript and then create drafts of specific messages or a list of action items that you want to take off from the call. We will verify them and we will do the post-call actions after that. So either we generate the tasks, send post-call recap, and I think that might be it. So we want to generate tasks and then we will update the status of the call, and then our post-call actions have been completed. So that is going to be the process map for our automation. And what it actually looks like in here, I'm going to show you in a second. But basically in here, we will have a webhook node and we will get the Fireflies transcript, and then we will find the client. So if it's going to be an external call, we will find the client that is related to this call. And why that is important is that we're going to get the transcript and then we will find the client who is related to this call in terms of client team who has been on this call. And what that will help us do is find all the information within our project management system to find more context on what is being worked on for the client and also what other action items or things are needed from the client. So when we're able to retrieve who the client is, then we're able to get all the other information from our project management system and add it as context for the LLM nodes, which are going to come in here. So for example, the more context AI has about what is going on with this client, who is this client, what are we actually working on for this client, then we will be able to send that as context to the LLM nodes. So when it analyzes transcript, it understands the situation the client is in and what we are actually working on for this specific client. So that means the post-call message is going to be more relevant. The action items it generates, it's not going to generate duplicates because it already knows what we are working on for this specific client. So it's not going to generate duplicates and it already knows what action items are needed from the client as well. So it's a good way to give more context to the LLM because context in this case is going to be everything to generate a more relevant message, right? One more important thing in here to keep the LLM nodes more modular and have more of it inside Airtable, you can also have prompts inside Airtable. So you will have a different prompt for each type of call. So you might have, for example, a process mapping call, you might have a weekly call, you might have some other types of calls within your company. So you want to have a different prompt for each call, if that's going to be the case, which means that when you're analyzing the transcript, you are assigning a category of calls and you're going to use the specific prompt for that specific call within the LLM. So you're going to get this prompt from here, and then you're going to use this prompt, which is based on the call type, and then you're going to assign the relevant prompt to the LLM node. So this means that whichever type of call do you have in your company, whether it's a one-on-one, whether it's a weekly call, whether it's a Monday stand-up, whatever it is, then the prompt will be relevant based on what the call is. So for example, if we're going to have a process mapping call, I would probably want to know what are the processes that we talked about and what are the steps within that process, right? So I would probably not need to analyze it this way when we have a weekly call with the client. So that's going to be a completely different type of call, which the prompt really wouldn't be relevant for in this case. So, and otherwise you would have to build a lot of different if-then routes within n8n as well. So just keeping it more modular in this way and more easier to maintain this specific workflow as well, as you don't have to switch out that many components in here. And yeah, just keeping it really modular. And as a final step in here, we also want to update the status. So for example, when we're going to have the status of the call, then we're going to have when the call comes in, it will be created. When the AI analysis is in progress, then we're going to move it to this status. When the AI analysis is completed, it will move to this status. And it will also send a message to the Slack channel, to the team, saying like, hey, this post-call analysis is complete. Please go and review it, so we know when to go in and review this call. So that's how the automation flow works and how you should be setting it up. So mapping it out first and then starting to build it. And to make this experience really good for your internal team, what you definitely want to do is you want to build a custom interface based on what your process is. You might not have all of these steps that I've described to you before, and you might just have a post-call message that you want to send out. So in this case, you really want to make sure that you build an interface, because doing things in here or like completing the actions in here, while it might be feasible, you want to have a good user experience for your internal team, right? So you don't want them going into the backend database and start like modifying stuff, tweaking things around. So ideally you want a specific person to be responsible for this and just having a clean, optimized interface for your team to go on and action these things. So that's going to be a really important part in here. So designing an interface and making it really clear what the person needs to do here and providing all the necessary information. So we have something like this, which is a post-call update interface. So when we come off the call, then we have instructions in here on what the team actually needs to do. So they would need to share the post-call recap, log all the action items, and capture any notes that we need to know. And that's going to be important. We have the client name in here as well for context, and also the call name, which is going to be at the top here. And then this first step is sharing the call notes with the client. So we want to make sure that we share the recap of the call and the action items with the client, so they have it visible in their Slack channel. And then once the step is done, we will press this button and this will disappear from here, and we can move on to the next step, which is the tasks for us. And in this part, we want to list out all the tasks. We also have timestamps, like direct quotes, and then the task description as well. And if we're happy with these, they don't need any modifications, we will just press this black button to say generate tasks with AI, and that will trigger an automation in our system, which will take this context and generate the tasks with that specific context. And what you can also do in here is you can take this task and reanalyze the transcript to add more context based on what was specifically talked about at this specific point in time. And then once this is done, it will create the tasks in our project management system. The final step in here would be to just press tasks added, and that will complete the whole workflow. Obviously, we have a couple more steps in here, but they would be mainly the same as these two, just for different purposes. Definitely very important to have this whole flow thought about. So putting together your data structure, mapping out the automation flow, building the database, building the actual automation, and then providing a good user experience using a custom interface. You don't have to do it in Airtable. There's also many different options out there to build a custom interface, but we've seen Airtable be the most user-friendly, and it's probably going to be the best bet if you're just starting out as well. I hope you got some value out of this, and hope that you able to actually build this workflow for yourself as well. If not, and you would want us to help you with this workflow, or just seeing what the possibilities are for your team and your business, definitely use the link in the description below this video to book a call with me and my team. I can personally go over any automation flows that you've already built, or provide you an overview of what's possible in terms of making your team more efficient with AI and automation. And if you're interested in increasing the quality of output, for example, your AI automation workflows, or just outputs in general, definitely check out this video that I recorded on JSON context profiles, which is going to help you increase the quality of output in all of your AI workflows. So definitely check this video out. I'll leave a link to this video here so you can go and check this out.